How you act. In the play As You Like It, William Shakespeare reminds us, all the world stage and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Take more risk by acting without getting input from your supervisor. Begin with small, low-profile decisions. Ask yourself what you have to lose by acting in an independent manner. Don't let the pendulum swing entirely in the other direction. There are times when it's appropriate to seek extensive input and/or approval. These tend to center on high-profile decisions where significant costs or potential loss is involved. Balance your inclination to serve others' needs with serving your own. Before agreeing to something you may not want to, ask yourself, how much will it matter if the other person is a little annoyed? When people get angry with us, it's often for the purpose of getting us to do what they want. Don't fall for the ploy. Listen to the little things. Everyone wants an ear. If you don't get it, ask. It's far better than going off in the wrong direction. Observe people in meetings and you will notice when others are confused or not understanding the message. Use this as an opportunity to help the group by saying something like, I can tell by the looks on people's faces that it's not quite clear. Can you give us some examples or state it in other words? Trust your instincts. If it doesn't seem clear, it's probably not. Use simple paraphrases as a way of gaining clarification. Do I understand you correctly? If people make you feel stupid over a question you've asked, you can assume it's their problem, not yours. If they do it consistently, ask them point blank why they feel the need to put you down just because you asked the question. Listen carefully to the question you are asked and answer it simply and objectively. A question, why wasn't the project done on time, isn't an indication that the person expects you to point the finger at yourself. More than likely, there are good reasons why the project wasn't completed on time, and this is what you should offer in response. An appropriate, honest response would be, there are two primary reasons. First, we didn't have the staff required to meet the unrealistic deadline, and second, the information required to complete the data wasn't made available to us until 2 days after the deadline. Even when you legitimately bear the responsibility for a blunder, don't make it worse by embellishing it. Avoid the tendency to agree or explain, and whatever you do, don't allow yourself to feel bad about it. We all make mistakes. Replace apologetic, explanatory, or defensive responses with more neutral ones. Practice saying, I understand that you are saying, and I'll keep that in mind in the future. You're neither agreeing nor disagreeing, simply acknowledging. Counter or pair every negative with a positive. This is what positive spin is all about. For instance, you could say, although we didn't come in under budget, we did complete the project ahead of schedule. Instead of saying, I have to admit, I could have done a better job of making sure we remained under budget. You could say, although the employee proved to be a bad match for the job, we learned a good lesson in what we really want. Instead of saying, I wish I had done a little more inquiry before making the final decision about the candidate. Be selective about the personal information you share and with whom you choose to share it. When a personal situation is impacting your ability to perform your job, be honest, but be brief. It's enough to say, I'm going through a rough time right now, but my job is important to me. I'll work on paying closer attention to the details. When expressing a controversial or different viewpoint, use the technique of contrasting what you do want and what you don't want. I don't want to make it appear I haven't heard what you said, because I have. I do want to express a different way to look at the situation. Let the other person know when you are about to say is difficult for you by beginning your sentence with, this is a bit difficult for me to say, but I do want to let you know how I see the situation. This cues most people to be more patient with you. If you know you've expressed yourself inoffensively and the other person is still offended, don't acquiesce. Instead, respond with a simple acknowledgement of his or her feelings. I can see you feel offended by this, and revert to listening. Avoid the inclination to backpedal and negate your true sentiments. If it turns out that you are underpaid, use logic and facts to make a case for why you should get a raise. Ask a friend to help you practice delivering the message. You could also subscribe to several money magazines such as Fortune, Money, and Smart Money. Overcome the notion that talking about money is impolite. Don't roll over and play dead when someone tries to intimidate you. It's a tactic some people regularly use to make their point or get their way. Ask yourself what you are feeling in that moment and express it as an I message rather than, "You're not listening to me." Say, "I feel I'm not being heard." It's less accusatory and no one can argue with your feelings. Turn the discussion to problem solving by acknowledging what you've heard and asking what the person would like to do. I understand that you are frustrated with the fact that the shipment has not gone out yet. Let's talk about what we can do to get it out to you as soon as possible. That's an example. Avoid the inclination to apologize. If apologies are appropriate, you can always do so later. Apologizing to a bully only fuels the fire and reinforces the notion that you are a victim. Differentiate helping and being used. If you are truly helping, you are providing the resources and support needed to allow others get the job done efficiently. If you are working harder than everyone else on your team or task force, you are being used. Rather than offering to do the work of another, offer to teach him or her. How you think. Manage people's expectations. Always be willing to go the extra mile, but don't be afraid to point out when something is unrealistic. Everyone always wants everything yesterday. Pushing back when you are being taken advantage of won't be a career buster. Set realistic daily or weekly goals. If you are understaffed, ask for help or negotiate reasonable deadlines. You can always say, "I would love to get this to you by 5 o'clock as requested, but we don't have the staff to achieve that kind of turnaround. Tomorrow at 5 is more realistic." From there, you may have to negotiate, but you are less likely to work until midnight. When assigned a project or task, avoid the tendency to start doing. Take time to think it through, plan it, identify resources, and so forth. Continually build relationships throughout your company and your professional community. When you need a relationship, it's too late to build it. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you have to do something, it means other people must have done it before. Find these people and ask them to share their expertise. Learn to delegate. Even if you don't have staff reporting directly to you, call on the relationships you have built to help with providing assistance. Spend time brainstorming with creative colleagues before beginning complex or large assignments. Rather than responding to the details of an assignment before beginning, consider how it could be done faster, cheaper, or more effectively. Read biographies of successful women and learn how they broadened their possibilities. When you go out of your way for people, be sure to let them know. A subtle way to do it is to say something like this: "Can I finish this report before I leave? Well, I was planning on meeting a friend after work, but why don't I call him and let him know I'll be late? You have just collected a chip." Don't make things look so easy. Try saying something similar to, "I'm happy to report that I convinced the IT department to repair your laptop ahead of several other requests. I knew you would need it before you left on your trip." That's another chip in your account. Don't underestimate the better value of things, like verbally supporting someone in a meeting, public praise, a listening ear, or grapevine information. They are all valuable workplace commodities. Cash in your chips sparingly, but don't be afraid to use them. If you are applying for a job and someone you have collected many chips from has information about the hiring source, ask for it. Don't skip meetings. Use meetings as an opportunity to showcase a particular skill or piece of knowledge. If you are good at facilitating, then offer to lead the meeting. Differentiate the times when people need to talk from those when they want to talk. Repeat. I would love to talk more, but I'm on a tight schedule today. How about if we continue this conversation tomorrow? Clearly set boundaries about how much time you have or don't have to share, and know the world will not fall apart because of it. When people ignore the boundary, as they inevitably do, enforce it by saying something like, as I said before, I would love to spend more time with you, but today's schedule won't allow me to. Develop a plan for how you are going to build or maintain a relationship with each of your top liners. Consider the possible quid pro quo. Tell yourself, spending time building relationship is not a waste of time, and it is not. The more relationships you have in place, the more access you have to information and resources. Build relationship with your C-suite. Build relationship with your colleagues. Build relationship with downlines as well. Note that you don't take a peck because you want it or think you deserve it. You take it because it manages the impressions others have of you and those you have of yourself. When a peck you have earned is, shall we say, overlooked, bring it to management's attention. It could legitimately be an oversight, and it might not be. When you are not giving pecks commensurate with your position and you know it's not an oversight, ask why not. Replace negative stories with more neutral ones. Consider alternative scenarios that could explain what has happened that have nothing to do with you doing something wrong. Focus on solutions to problems, not the problems themselves. Wallowing in a sea of negativity will cause you to miss the obvious solutions. Consciously reduce the amount of time you work on any given day or spend on any one piece of work. Strive for 80% perfection. The difference between 80% and 100% won't be noticed by most people, but will buy you more time to shift to other important tasks. Relinquish the need to be seen as perfect and settle for being viewed as human.